welcome here and happy June. Perhaps we'll have some June weather to go along with our June month. Um, it's good to see folks as you're joining. Welcome. And maybe add to the chat if you're rooting for either the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder and the NBA Finals. It'd be good to know where the 9:30 callers are. Um, Lots of things happening since last we saw each other. So today we are sending out a targeted message to the legislature for the FY26 budget and for the supplemental budget, which has been moving along together. So if you are signed up for our email list, you'll get all the email and all the information. The other piece is the FY25 supplemental budget that the commissioner spoke about when she was here on the 9:30 call was passed in the House and the Senate, and the governor signed it. So that was the $190 million that the department needed to get through the fiscal year 25, which is ending this month. So that is really good news as well. And we also know that Neighborhood Villages hosted Playtopia this weekend, and we saw a ton of social media that we had an advocacy network reunion there. So it was great to see that, and we're so excited that that went well. But today we're so excited to hear more from Playmakers. So Ellen, I'll turn things over to you. And our first question for everybody is for you to tell us a little bit about you, how you came to be in your current role, and then we'd love to hear more about Playmakers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. And it's so wonderful to get to be here with all of you on this Monday. Happy Monday. And just quick shout out to the Neighborhood Villages crew. The conference on Saturday was amazing. And we were super honored to get to be part of it as well, celebrating play and being in this Playtopia together. So big shout out to you and the incredible peeps that were in the room. So my name is Ellen Lempereur Greaves. I am the executive director of the Playmaker Project. And my background is in education. I got my master's actually at the United Nations University for Peace and got to learn alongside educators from over 70 countries, which was pretty powerful. And I attended my first Playmaker training actually back in 2009 as an OST educator. And it was a really interesting and powerful moment for the organization because at the time, research was coming out around the impact of the Playmaker intervention in the Gulf Coast in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, where members of our team, including Aunt Toombs on this call, who's a founding member, led a 2-day training for preschool educators, kind of utilizing our play-based approach, very much grounded in the trauma response work that Steve, our founder, and Aunt have been doing for years. And the results were pretty amazing in terms of children in Playmaker classrooms having less PTSD symptoms, having less anxiety after 12 weeks, having more pro-social behaviors. And so it became clear at the time that we were onto something and really wanted to figure out how to bring this work to even more educators. So I joined the team in 2011 as a part-time facilitator, and I got to actually deliver our training and resources to thousands of educators across the country. Got to do a lot of like learning and listening. And while our kind of core philosophy and framework didn't change, we really started to hone our work to double down on two things. One, early childhood educators, because early on it was a little bit more universal, but we believe that the early childhood workforce is some of the most important work in the world. This only got reinforced when I became a parent about 9 years ago. And we also really started to double down on the emotional health of early childhood professionals, taking this kind of adult first mentality to child or children's health and well-being. Um, and so Alicia, our senior director of program now joined the team about 6 years ago now. And together we've kind of transformed our program from primarily in person to now the blended model that it is today. And in 2023, just a couple years ago, we launched our online Playmaker University to be able to bring our training to many, many more educators. And it's in this kind of moment that I stepped into the executive director role. And so it's really exciting to get to be here and get to be with all of you today.
Well, we're so happy to have you here on the 9:30 call. 73 people for a Monday morning is great. Uh, and so, folks on the call, if you have questions or thoughts, or I'm sure there's a lot of love and appreciation for the Playmakers Project. So if you want to add that to the chat as well. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you're working on now.
Awesome. Awesome. And because it actually is Monday morning, I'm going to take like a hot 2 minutes to invite folks to actually shake and wake a little bit and do one of our favorite Playmaker activities that we do with children and adults alike. And it's super simple. It requires zero equipment. All you need is a right hand and a left hand and a right foot and a left foot, and that's it. And we call it 5 shakes. So if you're able to, I'll invite you to stand up wherever you are. And if it feels better to stay in your chair, do that. And what we're going to do is actually take our right hand and count down from 5, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then our left hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our right foot, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our left foot, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then, woo, do a little like jump for joy. And then we'll go 4, 4, 4, 4, count down all the way to 1. Got it? Feeling good? Thumbs
Got
up.
it.
All right, I'm going to invite us to start with a right hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo!
Oh,
4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Woo! 2, 1. 2, 1. 2, 1. 2, 1. Yeah! 1, 1, 1, 1. Woo! All right.
woo! That was great.
It is. And wherever you are, seated in your chair or standing up, you can go ahead and put your hands on your heart, because I know mine's beating faster than a minute and a half ago. Maybe yours is too. And that's a good thing because we are alive this Monday morning. Now I'm going to invite you to take one hand and imagine picking up the most beautiful flower you ever saw, and your left hand and take it and dip it in some bubbles. And then you can go ahead and smell the flower and blow the bubbles. Smell the flower and blow the bubbles. Smell that beautiful flower and blow the bubbles. And smell that flower one more time and blow those bubbles. All right. Hopefully, we're a little more awake on this Monday morning. I know I am. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I just got a few slides to share a little bit more about the Playmaker project.
And as you're doing that, we have in the chat, Ashley shared Somerville Partnership for Young Children. Welcome Playmakers in April. It was absolutely the most energizing training I've ever been to as an early educator. And I've been to a lot, Caps. We cannot wait for our next Playmaker training. Rachel shared, so impressed by the people who stayed on camera for that. We have a long history of that. During COVID, we did yoga on the 9:30 call, led by Debbie Layett from Children's Hospital. So thank you for that.
Love that. I love that. Um, all right. So we are the Playmaker Project, and at the highest level, we are on a mission to improve the quality of care and education delivered to our nation's youngest, most vulnerable children. And we do that through play. As we shared in the description of this work, decades of research show that nurturing relationships with really attuned, responsive adults can protect children from the potentially devastating impacts of trauma and really set the foundation for long-term health and education outcomes. And so playmakers are early childhood educators trained to build those responsive relationships and environments using the single most important activity in children's lives, which is play. And what we have found over and over and over again in this work is that play is vital not only for children, but for the adults themselves. So for over 20 years, we provided training, resources, and ongoing support to about 25,000 educators across the US and Haiti. And one of the things that I'll highlight on this slide as a kind of differentiator of our work is that ongoing support piece, because we know it's not enough to light a spark. We really want to sustain kind of the flame in this movement. And so we're not a one and done kind of training organization. One of the things that, especially since the launch of Playmaker University, that we've really kind of honed in on is that all of our kind of graduates get ongoing access to coaching and advanced trainings and a kind of peer-to-peer learning and support community to really sustain efficacy and energy in the field. And what we do really comes down to an invitation. We invite folks to come to play. And we invite them to come to play for themselves and for the children in their care. Because we all know there's a difference. There's a big difference between going to work and coming to play. And children know that difference. Children see right through all the things. And we specifically focus on play for two really important reasons. Number one, play is the best way to build those responsive, joyful, loving relationships with children, especially our youngest, most vulnerable. There's really no other way that even compares. And two, play creates a corrective experience to the psychosocial impact of trauma. And this is where there's like a real depth of play that often can get overlooked, and why it's particularly important to connect and elevate as we are facing an escalating children's mental health crisis and increasing rates of anxiety, depression, and trauma among children. So I want to give a sense for you all of what I mean by play and kind of how we can redefine it at the Playmaker Project. Because play is so much more than silliness, games, and laughter. Like it can look like that for sure, but it's more than that. Play is about freely and enjoyfully engaging, connecting, and exploring with the surrounding world. And it is not only about like what we do, but the spirit in which we do everything that we do.
Right.
Because any activity, right, with the right approach, we believe can be play. And I'll give like a very brief kind of personal example of that from my own childhood. Like every Saturday morning, my mom would take us to the dump. The dump, not like a naturally playful place, But Saturday mornings, like 8 a.m., the songs would start going to the dump, dump, and all us girls would sing na 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 na, and there'd be a song, there'd be a race to sort the recycling. We would get in the car with smelly trash and then have permission to like tell dirty jokes. And usually on the way home, there was some Dunkin' Donuts. So it's like there was a whole situation. We played the dump. The situation around the dump, we were playing because it was about the approach, right? And likely in all of our work together on this call, like you've experienced where it's like there's doing parachute and there's playing the parachute, right? It's very different to like bring out a parachute. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and shake the parachute like this. 3, 2, 1, go. Versus like, oh, what do we have here? Does anyone want to shake this parachute? Should we do some big shakes? Shake, 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 shake. Should we do some little shakes? What other kind of shakes we want to do? Right? It's about the spirit in which we play. You can play soccer and you can do soccer. You can do cleanup and you can play cleanup. You can do teeth brushing and you can put on some music and dance your teeth brushing, because it is about the spirit in which you bring to everything that you do. And I think there's a definite, like, we fully recognize it's a heck of a lot easier to make things like parachuting games playful than it is to make cleanup and teeth brushing and literacy and those things, but that's kind of the art and practice of being a playmaker. And here's why it's so important. Because when we think about the psychosocial impact of trauma, it really comes down to four kind of ingredients to the experience. That children feel frightened, they feel withdrawn, right? There is a heaviness, a sadness, and a loneliness to the physiological experience of trauma in children. And 1 in 3 children in the US have experienced it. 1 in 5 will experience significant mental health challenges by the age of 8. So it is more universal than we think, and we need to be mindful and kind of tuned into that. But play creates a corrective experience, and the four domains of a playmaker approach are very much grounded in how to correct that, where instead of sadness, we're amplifying joy, figuring out how to bring in humor and lightness and gratitude to correct that experience. We're prioritizing social connection because it's the quality of our relationships that determine the quality of our lives, and especially for children impacted by trauma and who are struggling with their mental health, we know that relationships are what heal, are what matter most. Instead of being overwhelmed and frightened, playmakers focus on how to infuse internal control into everything that we do. One of my favorite stories about kind of the embodies internal control that actually Steve shared at as the keynote at Playtopia is about a little girl in art class drawing a picture. And her teacher comes up to her and is like, "Oh, honey, what are you drawing a picture of?" And she's like, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And her teacher says, "Oh, that's nice, honey, but nobody knows what God looks like." And the little girl looks up at her and goes, "They will when I'm done." That
Right.
is a little girl who feels empowered, who feels like I can happen to the world instead of the world happening to me. And so as playmakers, how are we infusing voice and choice in the little ways to be able to create that corrective experience and allow kids to take effective action? And lastly, active engagement is the kind of fourth core ingredient of our approach because the trauma has been described as a disease and the inability to be present. You're constantly worried about what happened in the past, anxious about what might happen again in the future. It's really hard to be here now. So, as playmakers, we're looking at how to infuse music, movement, creative expression that hooks kids into the present moment. And when you have all four of these ingredients really intentionally woven together in an experience, that's where you get true play. And notably, these kind of four domains match and map really beautifully to the kind of core ingredients of social emotional health. And so a lot of our kind of training and framework is intentionally looking at no matter what it is that we're doing, no matter what the curriculum is, what the activity is, what the day looks like, how do we infuse more joy? How do we help make this more socially connecting? How do we infuse more voice and choice? How do we help make this even more actively engaging, which will look different based on the age, environment, development of the group? And that's the kind of art form of it. That's the practice that we get to be in community around. And as playmakers, we're not only asking that about what we're doing with kids, but also what we're doing for ourselves. Because in the words of Charlie Parker, if you don't live it, it won't come out your horn, right? We can't spread what we don't have. And especially in this work, more is caught than taught. And so, how are we prioritizing our own sense of joy? How are we prioritizing our own sense of empowerment and staying strong and balanced? What are we doing to stay inspired and engaged ourselves? What are we doing to stay connected to the people who fill us up and fuel us? Because it's not selfish to do those things. It actually makes us better at our jobs, makes us more effective in our work. And what we're finding is the results of taking this trauma-informed play-based approach and this to the emotional health of children and the people who serve them is producing really, really powerful results. We have 100% of our trained playmakers that are reporting improved relationships with kids. It's measured by the student-teacher relationship scale. They're experiencing less conflict, more connection in their classrooms, which is really important when we're hearing everywhere that educators are experiencing increasing challenging behaviors in their classrooms. We're seeing 99% report that they're better able to combat burnout. And when burnout rates and are really high right now in the field and morale is really low, that becomes really, really poignant. And while nationally about 80% of educators are saying they don't feel as prepared to address the emotional challenges and behaviors that they're seeing in the classrooms, 98.6% of our playmakers do. And so this play-based framework that is responsive to the very real kind of needs that children have right now is working. And we're excited to be partnering with many organizations like Neighborhood Villages to be able to see how we can serve more in our backyard. Because while we have served over 25,000 early childhood professionals across the country, 10,000 in New England, so we have a strong regional base, but there's no more important place that we want to serve than right here in our backyard. Um, and, just in closing, we believe that every child deserves a playmaker and every early childhood professional really deserves the support to become one. And so we are super excited to be here with all of you on this call. And I am leaving both my email and website here. Alicia and Ant can put theirs in the chats as well. Alicia actually works with she leads all of our program partnerships in the field, working really closely with leaders to figure out how we can create really responsive programs to the needs of the communities, and is incredible. And so we'd love to just hope that this can be kind of the start of a conversation and um, figure out how we can support and elevate the incredibly important work that you all do on this call.
Thank you so much, Ellen and Alicia and Ant. I think the spirit of the 9:30 call, which is creating COVID, as a community, has just, now we are 5 years strong into this community, and so much of what you talked about has been the basis. And just want to appreciate kind of the realistic view of thinking about burnout, thinking about what adults need to kind of show up for children and families every day. I'm just going to run through the chat quickly that from Donna Danette. Ellen has sent me some incredibly supportive messages. So grateful for Ellen and Playmakers really embracing the challenging and weight of working in this sector and our leaders and our educators. I sent 8 of my team on Saturday. They were powerfully impacted by the joy that they experienced. I would say, like, as a booking agent, I look like a genius that this was the date that you ended up coming today after Playtopia. So hooray for the calendar working out. Donna added Monday morning inspiration. Amy added Life is Good Playmaker Kids Foundation video and website are on our syllabus for Merrimack College. Community Engagement Institutional Partnerships class on July 16th, Professor Michael Preston. I know there was something else. Donna asked about, no, I can't find it because I know Ann answered it. Okay, I'm gonna just go. How are they measured? So I think that must be about how are you measuring the impact? So that is one question. And then Lucas shared sending so much love and appreciation for the Playmaker Project, especially now as there has been an elevated level of stress, anxiety, unpredictability. It has been helpful for me to strengthen those optimism muscles. There is so much work to be done, and these tools and lessons are so timely and valuable. Thank you. So maybe go back to the measurement question, and I'll keep looking through chat.
Sure, absolutely. I can answer that pretty quickly. So since the launch of Playmaker University, we've actually baked in kind of pre and post surveys. So the application includes baseline data, and then we also measure impact 12 weeks post. And what we are seeing in pre-post surveys is statistically significant reduction in burnout. That's measured by the Maslach Burnout Inventory, which is a validated scale that folks take pre and post. We also utilize the student-teacher relationship scale, which is kind of like it was designed by the same person who designed the class measure, but it's perceived by the teacher, so it's much easier to capture. But it's measuring conflict and closeness in the classroom. So we use that for a validated scale around relationships. And then we also use the flourishing scale, which is out of Harvard, to measure increases in kind of emotional health and well-being of our the educators and providers. So it's those, in addition to the just custom questions that we ask, kind of
Yep.
questions and story and gathering stories and anecdotal evidence. The three tools, kind of validated tools we use are Maslach burnout inventory, student-teacher relationship scale, and the flourishing scale. I
Great.
see that someone asked a question about International Day of Play, which is this is also well timed. Go you,
Right.
because International Day of Play is June 11th. And yes, we will be on City Hall Plaza. We're doing activation that we're calling the World Room Cleaning Championship. So we are going to play the heck out of room cleaning on City Hall Plaza and bring a little play to something that we know that parents and educators everywhere do every day. So how do we bring a little playful spirit to that? And the short answer to the question around languages is that we are actually very active in a grant right now to more fully translate our experience into Spanish. The coursework is in Spanish, but that's not enough, we believe. We want our full kind of resources, alumni portal to be in Spanish.
Yep.
We're
I
actively.
know we have folks on the call that would be very interested in seeing that happen. Donna Danette said, Ellen and team, what are your thoughts about the impact of play and the shift from safe as possible to safe as reasonable? And Ant provided a very thoughtful response in the chat. And then Donna said she was thinking about why the US, UK, and Canada made room for risky play choices. So I think, that has come up on the call before. And then Alicia said you'll be at City Hall Plaza when is next week for Boston International Day of Play. So here at 10 a.m., we would love for this to be the beginning of a conversation. I think just appreciate all the work that you're doing. This is an incredible community. So if you have updates, whenever you want to come back, if you need feedback on something, this is certainly a place to come. But we often say we get the inspiration we didn't know that we needed on the 9:30 call, and that certainly is true today. So, Ellen, if you could share your slides with me, which were also beautiful, and we will also send this chat back to you. And then please consider this an open invitation to join us whenever it makes sense for you.
Absolutely. And our my slides have my email. I think Alicia and Ant probably
They
put their.
did, they put their, yep.
So please go ahead and stay in touch if you want to become a playmaker, if you want to support playmakers. We are really excited to bring this movement much more to Massachusetts and even beyond.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us. And we will see you tomorrow on the 9:30 call. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, Ant's got the balloons going. Good. We need
All
that.
right. All right.
Woo!